Pregame.com.
Sunday, NFL playoff action. The New York Giants invade Lambeau Field for the playoffs. I just wanted to do that.
It's not the frozen tundra anymore, by the way.
Well, I know you were complaining before we went on air. You'd have thought this place was...
This is the frozen tundra.
I'm joined by Brian Leonard. You know, he's always complaining it's cold in here. I'm Marco D'Angelo. NFL playoff action. Brian, this is going to be my video best bet. I got so many things here why I like the Green Bay side. I'll let you chime in, and then I'll just ramble after that.
All right. Well, since you like the Green Bay side, I'll talk a little bit about the Giants then. The Giants are 30-18 against the spread since 2006 on the road. They've been very good in this situation. The last 10 games the Giants have played, the teams they played have a combined 102-60 record on the season, and the Giants went 5-5 straight up against those teams. So they've actually played pretty well, even though you just look at the record and it says 5-5, but they played some really good teams. And if we remember back just a few weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, I believe, this was a big game. I believe it was Sunday Night Football, and the Giants almost had that big comeback, and the Packers had to get that late field goal. A lot of scoring late in the game to win that game 38-35. Green Bay 6-0 this season against teams that made the playoffs. They won those games by 8, 26, 11, 12, 3, and 4. Now, all the single-digit games all came down to the last possession of the game. So I know in this game it's slightly over 7, so that is a concern for you that it could come down to that last possession. And I do a lot with the first halves, and the Packers have actually been outgained in the first half 7 of the 9 games. But the way I'm going to look at this game, and I got some tweets on this. Some guys got back to me last week because I was talking about the total in the Houston game. I said we needed the 20, and I was going to play under the 20 in the first half. I never saw the 20. A guy tweeted me, he goes, well, I got 20 minus 120. Is that good? Another guy says it's 19.5. Is that good? If I say I'm playing it under a certain number, don't play a worse number. We're looking for that number. Right. And we have that number actually in this game. The first half is 27. And the reason why I like the under, and I just talked about all the scoring they did in the last game, but there's 2 reasons for it. Number one, Green Bay has offensive line problems right now, and the New York Giants defense is healthier than it was earlier in the season. So you're getting somewhat of an inflated total, and you look at it, 27 is a key first half total. So we're looking at that to go under 27 in the first half, minus 110, no worse than minus 110. And the reason why I like that better than the full game is we saw it last time they played. A lot of scoring late in the game. You know, the Giants are behind in the game. They're going to pass, and they've had a lot of success passing. And so it's a situation where I think Green Bay is going to want to establish the run a little bit. They've got that offensive line problems. The worst thing you want to do is get your quarterback hurt in the first half of the game. He hasn't gotten hurt all year, but the offensive line, they've got a lot of guys playing out of position right now. So I'm going to look for that game to go under 27 in the first half for my part of this video.
All right. For my part of the video, I like Green Bay, and here's why. And I know everybody's going to look at last week's game against the Giants, and they looked invincible. I mean, they totally shut down Atlanta. I'll get to that in a second. You brought up the fact that they played already. They did. It wasn't the Sunday night game, but it was the 4 o'clock game on Sunday. And the Giants, and I was on the Giants in that game big. And the reason why I was is twofold. You had Green Bay coming off the Thanksgiving game, which all the hype leading up way back in September when, you know, both teams started out 4-0, Detroit and Green Bay, everybody was pointing to that Thanksgiving Day game and said that's when Green Bay's going to lose their first game. You know, that's going to be the test. They were so amped for that game, and they swatted Detroit away like a fly at a picnic. So they're coming off at that point. That was the biggest game of the season for the Green Bay Packers. Now they go on the road to play the Giants. They played the Giants the week after, and you'll remember it because it's the night that we went and had the wings at the Monday night place where the Giants...
When you treated, I believe. The bill only came to $5. Don't get too excited, but he did treat.
Yeah, the place had free wings. But the situation was you had a team coming off an embarrassment on Monday Night Football. To me, it was the perfect storm. And that's why I had the Giants that week against Green Bay, because Green Bay was coming off an extreme high, Giants coming off an extreme low, embarrassment. You know, we both love that angle, taking a team off an embarrassing Monday night game. You're getting line value. The team, wants to make amends. Plus, you still have that stigma that Green Bay had in that first game where they hadn't lost yet. When you're carrying that, it's like a little monkey on your back. You're undefeated. Nobody wants to talk about it, but it's there. You see so many times when a team finally loses that first game, the coach almost has like a sigh of relief. Everybody wants, it's nice to have that perfect season, but there's added pressure to having the undefeated season. You're almost easier to have that one loss because there's not that pressure. You can get back to focusing on what you do best and just win football games. So I think that's a huge advantage here. The Giants, the defense looked tremendous last week, but I want to point one thing out. And you said about the records of the teams that they did, and that's a very good point. They were 500 against them. And they were absolutely dynamite in the last 3 weeks of the season. They held the Jets to 14, they held Dallas to 14, and Atlanta to nothing. They scored the 2 points for Atlanta. So why would I say, okay, I'm going to step in front of that defense? What do you think of Mark Sanchez as a quarterback?
Not much.
Okay. What do you think of Tony Romo as a quarterback and at a bad hand?
I think Tony Romo is actually a pretty good quarterback, but he was injured.
Okay. And Matt Ryan hasn't won a playoff game yet. He has not shown that he can step up into a big game. And you saw it in the coaching. They didn't take a shot downfield that entire game. They played swing passes, very conservative. It was almost like the coaches didn't have confidence in Matt Ryan. This defense is going against Aaron Rodgers this week. Different story. In Lambeau, I just think the Giants, they've had a great run. They had to win their way into the playoffs, and that's the one mistake that I kicked myself in the butt for changing my mind last night. I was teetering back and forth all week, and then when I finally settled in on Atlanta, I settled in on them pretty strong. But I said on Gil's podcast, and I pointed out that the New York Giants had to win their way into the playoffs. And we've seen this every year in all sports. It doesn't matter. When a team has to win their way in that final weekend, it's like the advantage they have is they've already played a playoff game before they play a playoff game. And it gets them ready. And we've seen it last year. The Seattle Seahawks did it, had to win on the final Saturday or Sunday, got in, won their first playoff game. We saw it in baseball 2 years ago. The Giants rolled that into a World Series, San Francisco Giants. They had to win the final weekend in San Diego to clinch the division and even get into the playoffs. We saw it with the St. Louis Cardinals this year in Major League Baseball. Had to win on the final, they had to win the final month, to get to the playoffs, and it came down to the final day. So that was an advantage, but now they got that win. So it's not an advantage, they could still carry it on, but I just think the fact that they've played already, I think Green Bay took them for granted in that first game a little bit because let's face it, Green Bay was coming off their best game, and they saw the Giants on Monday Night Football. These players watch Monday Night Football. They had to feel pretty good about themselves when they saw the Giants play the Saints. I like Green Bay here. I think they win at home. And, tragedy hit Green Bay this week with the coach and a member of the coaching staff, and our condolences go out, to the whole Green Bay organization. But that has a tendency, I think, we actually, at one of the Tuesday meetings, we talked about how does that affect things? And I've always been that for that, at least for that first game, there's more of it's more of a benefit than a distraction. That the team kind of rallies around one another. They need to play. Maybe it's a form of healing. I don't know, but I don't want to put that in as an intangible, but it's out there. We ought to talk about it.
A couple notes. First off, I'm not sure how many of the players actually knew. I mean, obviously they know the coach. I don't like to deal with a lot of things that are off the football field. We never know exactly how the team's going to take it. For your benefit, when you take a look at the line when they went to the Giants, I believe were they 7.5, 8-point favorite at the time? What's the line?
It was 6.5, I think, is what it closed at. Well, I'll tell you.
I know earlier in the week it was higher, but basically they're telling you right now with the change of the fields, it should be a 6-point differential, and there's really none. So you do have a little bit of an advantage there. But to get back to your point about teams having to win to make the playoffs and let it carry over, who won the Super Bowl last year? Green Bay Packers were in the same situation. They had to win just to make the playoffs. They didn't even win that division. They were a wild card. So yeah, I don't have anything in the full breadth of this game. But if you take a look at how home teams with this extra week of rest do in this round, they've done very well over the years. There is an adjustment from the lines maker, but it's still beating the lines maker's line by about 2 points for the rested team. So you're not only getting the rested team, you're getting a cheap line actually compared to the way they played before. So you may be onto something in this game.
Well, I'm going to take it even more value. This is my video best bet, and we're taking the game straight. But in the last video that I did with RJ, I talked about teaser value, and I was going to hook a teaser up. My teaser was take the New England down to 6.5. I'm using a 7-point teaser. It's sitting at 13.5. It's crucial to get it while it's at 13.5 so that you're teasing it under the touchdown at 6.5 because I feel that New England can, definitely beat Denver by more than 7, and I teasing this game down to, just basically pick the winner, and I think there's tremendous value, like you said, on Green Bay in this game on their field based on what the line was in the first game. I think there's just too much of an overreaction to the Giants' last 3 games, and really what Green Bay did, losing at Kansas City, the fact that they almost got beat by the Giants, it's like maybe Green Bay's not as good as we thought they were, but really they had nothing to play for down the last couple weeks of the season. So there you have it. I've got the Green Bay Packers. Brian's got an under for you on the first half of the game. Good stuff on that. And again, when we talk about this stuff, like Brian says, these numbers are important, and look for you don't want to just have action. You want to have action at the right numbers,
Yeah, I passed last Sunday. In fact, we only had one play out of the 4 NFL games because I didn't see a whole lot of value. In retrospect, I wish I had taken Denver. There was a lot of value on Denver in that game, but you live and learn, and just something to keep in the back of your mind for the next time.
Absolutely. Carry on the conversation. Oh, we have a coupon. Almost forgot. It's one of my video best bet. We give you a coupon. $10 off. You can go to Pregame Pros, pick any capper you want. When you check out, just enter the coupon code Green Bay, all one word, and the number 10. Green Bay and the number 10, and you'll get $10 off your order. If it's only $10, of course, it's free, and you can check that out. Brian, you got anything big going this week you want to? Actually you do. That's right.
Yeah, I didn't have much to promote last week because I've done lousy in the bowls, and I'm just so glad the bowls are over. I had a great college football season, and then I blew it in the bowls. But I've got my NFL playoff game of the year, and we've hit 67% of our game of the year selections. I love this play, and I think we're going to lose some line value by game time. So grab that now because it's around a key number. We want to make sure we get that key number.
Okay, well, you heard it. Check out Brian Leonard's Game of the Year. I'll have play this weekend. We haven't finalized our card yet, but we'll have that up later in the week. Basketball's been going real good in my triple dime plays. I've only had 7 of them this season so far. I've been selective with them, and we've cashed 6 out of 7. So basketball running good right now. Check it all out at pregamepros.com and carry on the conversation at pregamevideos.com. We'll have our show notes, and you can ask us any questions you want. We'll be back with more videos. Scott Spreitzer will have some videos with Vegas Runner and Brian, and we'll be back. We're going to do a basketball game next.